Most people know the Andes story by its ending. The crash, the cold, the hunger, the rescue. It is usually told as a miracle of survival, a victory over nature, a story with a clear conclusion. But survival was not the final chapter. It was only the moment the noise returned. When the helicopters finally reached the survivors, the mountains did not release them gently. They did not transition them back into life. They dropped them into it. Warmth returned all at once. Sound came back without warning. Voices, engines, metal, movement, things that had not existed in their world for weeks. Their bodies were rescued faster than their minds. For 72 days, life had been reduced to its barest form. Cold, hunger, stillness. Every decision mattered. Every movement cost energy. Every choice carried weight. Time did not move forward. It circled. Morning and night blurred together. The future stopped existing. Only the next hour mattered. Then suddenly, none of that applied anymore. Food appeared without effort. Heat no longer needed to be protected. Rest did not require negotiation with pain. And the world expected them to return as if nothing fundamental had changed. Being rescued did not feel like victory. It felt like displacement. They stepped back into a world that had already continued without them. Families who had mourned, friends who had moved on, newspapers that had written conclusions, strangers who spoke in headlines and symbols. They were called survivors. They were called miracles. They were called proof. But inside, many of them still felt suspended somewhere between the snow and the sky, between what they had been and what they were now expected to become. The Andes did not end when they left the mountains. It followed them, not loudly, not dramatically, in quiet moments, in rooms that felt too warm, in crowds that felt overwhelming, in sleep that did not come easily, and dreams that came too vividly. There was no language for what they had experienced, no therapy, no framework, no vocabulary that could hold it without breaking. Only memory. They adapted, not by processing the experience, but by carrying it. Some learned to stay silent, others learned to speak carefully, not to explain what happened, but to protect it from being misunderstood. Because the world wanted a simple story. Survival against impossible odds, human strength, triumph. But simplicity felt false, because survival had demanded choices that did not fit into neat categories. Choices made far from judgment, far from comfort, far from any version of normal life. Choices made in conditions where morality had no clean edges. After the Andes, everyday life felt altered. Small problems lost urgency. Comfort felt unfamiliar, sometimes undeserved. Time was experienced differently. When you have measured days by survival, minutes and hours lose their shape. Waiting feels strange. Urgency feels hollow. Fear changes its meaning. Faith changed as well. Not always strengthened, not always broken, but reshaped. In the mountains, belief was not ceremonial. It was not public. It was not performative. It was stripped of language. Prayer became quieter, more internal, less about rescue, more about endurance. Faith was no longer something you declared. It was something you lived with, something private, something unresolved. What bound the survivors together afterward was not heroism. It was memory, shared silence, shared understanding. A private language formed in the cold, one that never fully translated outside it. They did not need to explain themselves to each other. They already knew. This bond did not fade with time. It followed them into careers, into families, into ordinary life. Not as a constant presence, but as a reference point. Everything else was measured against it: success, failure, loss, joy. all of it existed in relation to something deeper. Being asked to tell the story became complicated. Each retelling shaped how the world understood the Andes. Each telling risked simplifying something that had never been simple. Speaking was a responsibility. Silence was sometimes an act of care, not avoidance, not denial, protection. Survival did not give them answers, it gave them perspective, a different relationship with fear, with loss, with meaning. The mountains did not offer lessons, they offered reality. The Andes story remains powerful not because people survived, but because survival did not resolve everything. It continued, quietly, unevenly, without closure. This is why stories like this endure. Not because they inspire, but because they remind us that survival is not an ending. It is a condition that changes what follows. The mountains are gone from view, but they remain in memory, in silence, in the way life is understood afterward. This has been Night Archive. Thank you for sitting with the quiet.